Hi, this is Doug Tolan with Know Your VA Loan. And this is probably the funnest video I'm going to do in this whole series. And this is a video of what fees you can say no to your lender. And we're going to talk about this, but I just think this is what really the funnest one, because VA is very adamant about this. And so it gets kind of humorous if you're from my end, where I've been in the lending business for so many years, to watch people that know what they're doing go into a lender and say, nope, I ain't paying that, ain't paying that. Lender look at them all crazy and say, what do you mean? What do you mean you're not going to pay this? Everybody pays this. No, I'm a veteran. I ain't paying that, because VA says I don't have to. So, and you're educating your lender again. Unfortunately, like I've talked about in many of my videos, probably 50% of the lenders that you talk to, you're the one that's going to be more educated about your VA home loan entitlement than they are. But when I made this up, I got to confess, I copy and pasted VA on this one because it's so funny. I just like the way they word it, so I wanted to keep it that way. And basically, the lender's maximum allowable flat charge of 1% of the loan amount is intended to cover all of the lender's costs and services which are not reimbursable as itemized fees and charges. The lender may pay third parties for services or do as it wishes with the funds from the flat charge, as long as the lender complies with the Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act, RESPA. And basically what they mean by that is, most lenders, and I've always done this, just charge, normally, unless it's a bigger loan, but if it's, 1% of the loan amount, even if it don't cover our normal costs that we normally pass on to our consumers, with veterans, we just eat it. I mean, this is what it is. This is why you do VA loans. I mean, you do give a better deal to veterans who have earned an entitlement than you do for just a standard loan program. So, and if the house is say you're doing $200,000, well, we don't need $2,000, so we'll lower that. We won't charge a full 1% because our fees don't equal that. So, but this is just an example, and I took out, if you go on VA's website or you look at someone else's list and it don't seem as short as mine, I took out some of the ridiculous stuff that no one charges. I just know no one charges, and it don't need to be said. But these are some common fees. What I've left here from VA's list is common fees. And you should check when you get your good faith estimate, or in this case, your loan disclosure statement is what's happening today, is a loan disclosure statement, and make sure that you're not paying any of these fees separately from the 1% that the lender can charge. But remember what I've said. If your lender is charging you a full 1% and you're financing $250,000, $300,000, then your lender is charging you way too much, and you need to find another lender. But here's some of the examples. And I did leave this one here because I didn't want people to get confused, so I wanted to address it. It says lenders appraisals. Now, what most people would say, wait a minute, they can't charge me for an appraisal. Yes, we can charge you for an appraisal, because that appraisal is for VA to certify the value of the home. A lender's appraisal is when a lender wants to get a second opinion on the appraisal. It's oftentimes a lender will get a second appraisal and no one ever knows about it. This would be the case here. If they want to get one, that's fine and dandy, as long as they're paying for it. They just cannot pass that cost on to you. Loan closing or settlement fees. This is something that's very common. Document prep fees, very common. Attorney services other than the title work. The attorney's fees they have to be basically worded a certain way. A title exam and stuff like that, you can pay for separately from the lender's 1%. But if they call it attorney's fees, it's wrong. So what happens there with title companies, they know how to word it to where it's proper. but you do have to pay attorney's fees. It's just in a different way. Interest rate lock-in fees. That's where when a lender locks in your interest rate, they can charge an interest rate lock fee. Well, not to veterans, they can't. Escrow fees or charges. Because you're not allowed to waive escrows on a VA loan, that means you must pay your taxes and insurance inside of your loan payment with all VA loans. That really don't apply anymore, because what happens is there really ever was only charges if you wanted to waive your escrow. Like if you didn't want to pay your taxes and insurance monthly, if you wanted to pay them on your own and not through your lender, then they used to charge you a fee for that. Well, you can't do that on VA no more, so that fee no longer exists. But I thought I'd leave it in there anyway. Notary fees, big deal here. Notary fees are charged all the time, so you need to check your statement. And you can ask your lender. The loan disclosure statement you get now that replaced the old good faith estimate, it's not very well itemized. But there is an itemized fee sheet that the lenders can generate from their program. And I would always encourage veterans, ask for a copy of the itemized fee sheet. Itemized fee sheet. You want a copy. That way you can make sure you're not being charged any of these fees. And the tax service fee. I've never understood. I've been doing this 30 years. I've never understood what the tax service fee, why they were charging people a tax service fee, because it goes to serve no purpose. So, but it's funny, so I left it in there. I just did it to amuse myself and to point out I didn't know what it was. But anyway, so this is just some of the fees. Again, this is just some of the fees that you cannot pay. The list is longer, but like I said, going over that list, VA has a lot of fees in there that, like I said, are not common for people to charge. But if you want, familiarize yourself with it on va.gov, and that way you can see the list for yourself and make sure, because, I've not lended in every part of the world, a country, so there might be states that do some goofy stuff. But you never know. I'm just going by what's really the most prevalent in the industry. And here's something I wanted to bring up. Normally, I wouldn't put this on a video talking about lenders' fees, but I do know this happens, and they get away with it a lot because the way the real estate commission now is hidden on the thing, and it's just not really known. And a lot of people don't disclose this right here on the HUD or the closing disclosure, that they paid a fee to a buyer's agent. There's a thing out there called a buyer's agent on a real estate, where you pay a buyer's agent to go hunt and scour for you a house. Well, what most people don't know, that buyer's agent's paid by the seller. When the seller has agreed to a flat commission of, say, 4%. Well, when the house is sold, if his realtor that's on the sign didn't sell it, but another agent brought their buyer there and they wrote the contract and sold it, that commission is split between the listing agent and the buyer's agent. But there is agents out there that will try to charge you and they'll have you sign a buyer's agent agreement to pay them a fee. VA specifically prohibits that. It's just their feeling is that since information on property is so easy to get, especially these days on the internet and stuff, there's no reason a buyer's agent should be charging you a fee on top of already getting paid by the seller. Or if they tell you, oh, the seller's not paying me, or they find a for sale by owner maybe, and they say, oh, if you want this for sale by owner and want to be represented by a realtor, you got to pay this fee. No, either the seller pays it or that realtor does you a favor, because there's no way for you to pay this fee. And if you do it, you're violating the rules, and you really shouldn't do it, because no realtor should charge this. A seller, if a for sale by owner is selling their house and a realtor comes in and says, I have a pre-approved buyer, especially who is a veteran, and they want to take a look at your house, and if they buy it, will you mind paying me a commission? Now, it's not, I don't want the same commission you would pay if you listed your house. You're still going to save a considerable amount of money, but will you pay me a flat fee for bringing this buyer and doing all the paperwork and getting this loan to closing? Any reasonable seller in their right mind will say yes. I've never known a seller, a reasonable one, to say no. So they should be paying, the seller should always pay the realtor. So I just thought I would throw that in there because I have seen that, and I've talked to veterans, and they've done this, and it's a real no-no, and it's just unnecessary. That people, and it's unnecessary that I think there's some agents out there that would tend to take advantage of veterans. So that's even more disturbing. But I'm not going to do a video on that because I'd get myself in trouble. But listen, thanks for listening. I'm Doug Tolan with Know Your VA Loan, reminding you that I'm always here for you, either by phone, email, or you can message me on Facebook, and I'll be happy to discuss your individual situation and help you understand how you can get the most out of your VA home loan entitlement. See you on the next video.